Welcome. Welcome to the North Shore Entrepreneurs Podcast with me, Jordan Russum, where we celebrate and learn from the success of North Shore business owners. Ultimately, to give our listeners, the courage to go out and start your own business. My guests today are Caleb Backus and Maddie Ballew, true coffee and matcha nerds, co-owners of my favorite coffee shop here in Haleiwa, the Bird's Nest Coffee. Caleb and Maddie, great to have you here today. Congrats on, I think you just had your 1 year anniversary of the business. So thanks for joining us on the North Shore Entrepreneurs Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Normally we just start off with like a high level overview of the business. Like, what is the business today? What types of products and services you have? And then we'll go back and get into the origin story. So
Sweet.
Either of you want to intro yourselves and the business?
Take it away.
Sweet. Caleb, Madelyn. We co-founded the Bird's Nest Coffee. What it is today is a brick-and-mortar shop in Haleiwa, Hawaii, on the North Shore of Oahu. And we serve specialty coffee, specialty matcha, sourdough goods, merch items, kind of anything that traditional standard coffee shop sells. And we just created a little hub to connect with the community. The main purpose is just intention, around bringing a community together around some of our favorite things. It's coffee and matcha. So that's kind of the basic overview,
Great.
Yeah.
Would love to get a little backstory on yourselves. Could you just give us a little bit of backstory, each of you, on where you're from, where you grew up, maybe some jobs you had growing up that kind of got you into down this path?
For sure. I grew up in a small town in Texas called Liberty. It's 8,000 people or so pretty small. I have a pretty big family. I have 5 other siblings, so growing up, there was always something to do. I really enjoyed creative things like sewing, painting, decorating rooms, clothing, putting outfits together, stuff like that growing up. And then I also really loved coffee. Since I was probably 5, my grandma, anytime we stayed at her house, she would just make us coffee in the morning. Obviously she would put a lot of cream and sugar when we were 5, but
of course.
I always just really enjoyed watching the sunrise with her and drinking coffee. And then once I got more teenager, my dream was to work at Starbucks because I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And
glad that changed.
yeah, now I would not say I like Starbucks, but
I worked
then
at Cold
it was
Stone Creamery. So,
back then it was
you.
So cool. And I didn't end up working as a barista until I moved out to Hawaii, which was in 2020, and I got my first barista job at Surfers Coffee, where it was it's a nonprofit, but I just fell in love with it.
This is in Wahiawa?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So I fell in love with it there, really enjoyed the latte art and design aspect of it. I felt that let me express creativity with it. And I enjoyed meeting the customers and making those connections. So I just continued that for about 4 years, up until we met. And I'll let you go with yours.
Yeah.
Quick question, because you said you used to make clothes. Are you involved with the shirt and the hat and all the gear that is at
Yeah.
Bird's Nest?
So I do a lot of the design for our merch, and even building with the whole design aspect of the coffee shop is something I really love and enjoy doing. So any of our stuff that you see, I love.
You have great merch, I will say.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a super fun outlet for me in the coffee shop.
Yeah. Backstory for me, grew up in Johnson City, Tennessee, and family of 6, 4 kids, all boys. And so it was fun time, always getting into something. And I feel as a kid, I always knew that I was going to enjoy business, just the aspect of business. was intriguing. I remember there's one story I feel like I always bring up where I have two younger brothers, and I would have books that obviously my parents would buy me, and there would be like $7.99 on the back, and I would just be like, I could sell it to them for $20, and so they would have an allowance of whatever it was, like $20 a month. And I remember I'd bring it to my room, and I'd have this whole book fair where I'd set up all the books, all these different things, and I'd have different prices on it. And I remember specifically selling a $7 book for $20 to each of my brothers to get their monthly allowance. And it was a little bit terrible, but in my mindset, it was just like, this is how you make money. Like, you just take something you have and you just sell it. And I remember getting in trouble from my parents being like, you need to give them their allowance back right now, because they just came downstairs and said, look at the book I just bought from Taylor. And I was super excited. And so I feel like from early on, I knew that I would enjoy just kind of the aspect of buying and selling and just how business operates. And so had like a random eBay business in high school. Really never had like a real job, except for one time I was a detail boy for like 3 summers, and that was more just fun. But I feel like I always just found ways to just make money and start new businesses. And so it was eBay for high school, and then I got into media stuff, did photo stuff for a little while, and then video stuff. Started a wedding production company, did that for a little while, and then then went into meeting her, and that was over 4 years ago now, and started dating over 3 years ago now, and kind of merged into that realm, which I guess some backstory on the coffee would be about 9 years ago. I had my first like specialty cup of coffee, and had grown up in a family that always drank coffee, same kind of situation. I think I was not 5, but probably in early middle school, late elementary school when I had my first coffee. And I remember saying I liked it black, but same situation, sneak a little creamer in there, and just continue drinking it all the way up through high school and college. And then in college about 9 years ago, I had a roommate that was like, I want you to try this coffee. It was a Colombian coffee from this roaster called Middle State. And I remember him being like, you taste cotton candy in it. And I took a sip and I was like, I think I know what he means. Like, this is not like any other coffee. And so from that point, I kind of became obsessed and was drinking 3 cups like every day of pour-overs for the next years. And that was kind of where the passion started. So with meeting her and hearing her story about how she loved coffee, and we kind of had shared dreams about opening up a shop one day, and not knowing where that was, when that was. And then, then the van came into existence.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
you were drinking pour-overs like 10 years ago. This is like, what's funny, my dad always says, I used to drink pour-overs in the 70s. Like, I don't know why it's so cool now.
Yeah.
But obviously it had a resurgence, probably in like, the last 5 to 10 years?
Yeah.
Sure.
So when you were first getting into it, like, how did you even know about it? Like, they weren't serving coffee like that at shops.
Yeah, but there's one shop in Opelika, Alabama. So somehow this guy, David Bazillia, if he hears this ever, like, shout out to him. Coffee legend. He's the one who sourced that coffee. And then my roommate who's working at that shop. They were doing, I believe they were doing pour-overs. Either way, but the Chemex has been out for a while, so maybe that's what your dad drank. It was like an OG pour-over method. And made a resurgence. I think when they got bought out by a company, it kind of like became a new thing. And it's just a more dialed in, clean way of drinking coffee. It's just, how much water is specifically hitting each ground of coffee. And so it's been almost a decade of drinking single origin pour-overs.
So you guys met out here in Hawaii. I guess, can you talk a little bit about your journey out to Hawaii? Like, what prompted it? How did it come to be?
So I came like right when I graduated college. My degree was in sociology, and I just always wanted to like have like a nonprofit. I didn't really know like what specifically, but I always had like a draw towards nonprofits. And I wanted to do something creative with it. But I obviously always just wanted to go to Hawaii, and I was like, maybe one day I'll go there. But then towards the end of college, I was like, why not just like go right now? I'm just going to apply to a bunch of like nonprofits in Hawaii and just see what happens. And that's how Surfing the Nations came about. I just applied online to do like a service team program for them for, I think it was 3 months. I was like, okay, I'm going to spend these 3 months just like being in the community, like serving, getting to know the people who are there, see if I even like the nonprofit work, and just go out to Hawaii. And so I got accepted to do the service team, and I think I had like a week or two to like move out here by the time I got accepted. Most people just go and then they come back, like they go back to wherever they're from. Mm-hmm. But I knew I was going to be here for at least a year. So I was like packing up my whole house and like selling everything. And I was like, okay, I have 2 weeks and then I'm just going to go. So it's kind of just like a leap of faith and just, all right, let me just go try it out, work for a nonprofit. And that's, yeah, how I kind of started.
What about you, Caleb?
Yeah, I feel like not similar, but similar in the sense of the randomness. I was in college, and as one does graduating, you're just like, what am I going to do with my life? And so I was doing media at the time. And so I was wanting to go somewhere that felt doable. I was starting to shoot weddings, and I was like trying to figure out the best places to kind of go for that. And Indonesia was actually like the spot that I had visited a month, 2 years prior, and was like, maybe I'll settle in Bali for a few months and see what happens. I loved Java, and I just loved that it was just very different culturally, and so I was just intrigued. And then COVID happened the year that we graduated, and so Indonesia kind of like was just
shut down.
It shut down.
Yeah.
It was just this like, okay, we'll see. So I kind of like played out, and just the next months I actually lived in my Subaru Outback, built it out, and went just kind of out west, and was just living out of that for like I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months, and then was just kind of like, you know what, like I just got to go somewhere. I can't wait for COVID to stop and like the borders to reopen.
Yep.
And so that was kind of where I was just like, where can I go right now? And Hawaii was an option. And so I was like, well, I'll go spend 3 months there and see what happens. And kind of similar, like I pretty much booked tickets, said I was going this date, and it was actually like within the first 2 or 3 days they had opened the like entry to go into Hawaii, but you still had to quarantine for 2 weeks. Yeah. And so, I moved, did the whole quarantine. I think 5 days before I moved, I didn't even have a place to live. And so I was just like, I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll sleep on the beach or a hostel, whatever. And then through like connection was like, oh, we've got this unit available in IAEA. Like, do you want it? And I was like, yeah, like I've been looking for a place. So I came out here, and then 3 months turned into 6 months, turned into a year, and it's been 5 years now.
So your intention when you moved out here was to do media?
Yeah. So
where were you picking up gigs when you were here, or is it all remote? Or
there was one wedding I had booked through a different company before I had moved. Not enough money to be like the wise decision. Like if you're my parents, I would be like, what are you going to do to make money? And so like, I had a little bit of savings. And I think it's just been my mindset. I'm like, I always know it's going to work out. Like you can always find a way to make money. You can always get a job. Like money is always available. It's just more of experiencing something new and seeing if it's a place that I wanted to be long term. And yeah, ended up booking a lot of weddings that next year, and then next year the business grew even more. And then slowly transitioning out of that now. So.
I think so many people are like, oh, I need to work in corporate for 5 years before I make that move. But
yeah,
I mean, it seems like you guys had a sense of confidence right out of school that like you just make it work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like felt like that at first. I was like, oh, maybe when I'm like 30 or something, I'll move out there. But then I just thought more about it, and I was like, why don't I can just do it now, you know?
Yeah, corporate job's always going to be there.
Yeah.
Or just a job that you have to sit, you know what I mean? Like maybe not the exact job you're looking for, but
yeah.
Cool. So you guys moved out here. You started the media. I guess at one point. I guess what was after media?
So after media was pretty much transitioning straight to the van. So I was shooting a lot of weddings, and then when we started talking about the coffee van, I kind of knew it was going to be a shift in life. You know, there's moments where you're kind of sitting there, you kind of like reflect back on the conversation you just had, and you're like, all right, like if I go this route, like it's a major shift. Like I was going this way, and I'm now going to go this way. But I was excited for it, and I could tell Matt was excited for it, and that's kind of the number one thing that we're like really want to focus in on is just being passionate and pursuing things that we're passionate about, and allowing for the doors to kind of open up from there. So that's kind of what we did, and so this van was an opportunity. It was one of her friends, and my friends, Dylan Oney, who had that van and built it out. He was selling coffee out of it. He left the island, so it felt like it was just like cool.
Okay, so this for people who don't know, the van was already a coffee van.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it had been sitting like at the church that I went to for like almost 2 years at that point. Just like not being used. Yeah, because Dylan had moved. And I mean, I think we had like looked at some other places of like maybe doing coffee, but it just like wasn't going to work out. So then the van was there and we were like, why not just do the coffee van? Why not just get that and build out our coffee shop in it and start. We didn't know where we were going to sell it. We didn't know like what part of the road we were going to go, what section or whatever. We were like, we'll just figure it out.
Yeah, I guess it's a good thing to hit is we had been looking. I had a whole coffee proposal like 2 years prior that I had been working on called the Commune Coffee Company. And it was just this big vision that I was like, I'm going to pitch to investors, all this stuff. Like there's this big gap in this North Shore that doesn't have exactly what we're wanting to build. And there's a lot of passion behind it. And it just slowly kind of fizzled out because there was just nothing real behind it. It was all just an idea. And so it was kind of like...
It was like a WeWork pitch.
Yeah. And it was just like, okay, but like, where is this going to actually live? Like what, like, every time you'd either talk to an investor or just we talk about it, it's just like, okay, well, where is it going to be? Like, just keep doors open.
Yeah.
And so whenever the van kind of came up was when we then were like, oh, this is potentially the opportunity. Like we got to get our boots in the ground first. So like, I think
that's good business advice. It's like when you go out and pitch investors, they want to know like what have you done so far?
Yeah.
Like, even if that's something small, it's like you can show that you have a track record.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure one day down the road, like the commune will open,
Yeah. True.
Well, I feel like it's been like the bird's nest and the commune, like comparing them side to side. I actually went through the folder like 2 days ago. I was trying to clean some things up and I was debating on deleting it. And I was like, why would I delete this? Like, this is the roots of what I feel like is a reflection, like a mirror reflection of what the bird's nest is. So it's cool to see, like, never thought back in this moment that the bird's nest would exist and how it existed, how it is existing today.
Yep.
But it is a mere reflection of what I had put intention into.
That's
and
funny.
What we had kind of dreamed about.
So I never went to the van. So was the van was called Bird's Nest?
Yes.
It was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a old Ford Econoline.
I remember seeing it.
Yeah, like turquoise teal color, and we just set up like on the weekends in Wailua, a little dirt patch, across from the baseball field. And how many months did we do that for? Did it like all of summer?
Yeah, we did it about
into December.
6 to 8 months or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we started it in April or May, but we didn't really get rolling until I think June, maybe mid-May, June, and then we went all the way till December. So yeah, maybe 7 months.
I mean, I would love to know, like, running like a mobile business like that, like, can you make enough money to like survive here? Or was that just like, yeah, I'm just curious.
I think it was like a good start, you know?
It depends on how much work you want to put in. If you want to set up for the coffee setup, you want to set up every single day, be out there 7 a.m. I mean, it was 30 minutes prep of the house, getting everything up, ready to tow, towing it there, setting up for an hour, and then you're there. So it's like to even be open by 7, which I think we ended up opening at 8. You'd have to get up at 6:30, prep everything, just to get out there and start selling it. And then it's rough conditions. I mean, we had dust storm after dust storm. Like, we had an old Xterra that we had bought for so cheap to tow it, and there was one time like it smoked out completely on the tow there. Like, it was just one of those things where it was an experience that you look back and you're like, I kind of miss those days a little bit, but also like I don't at all. And so definitely not recommending as far as making money to survive here, but as far as marketing and just the ability to, like, we took everything we invested into that, like all of my savings, all of our time and energy, to put 6 to 8 months into that. And then everything we made from that, we reinvested into the brick and mortar. So it's just like, it is something.
Of course.
You know, it's something that is worthwhile. But as far as it being like anyone being like, I'm going to make bank selling coffee on the side of the street, like, no, you're not. Put that effort into something else.
No, but there's a huge food truck scene here.
Yeah.
I guess this is slightly different. This
I
is
don't
mobile.
know if the food truck is like super different or what, but I know like for us it was more difficult because we did have to like take everything out of the van. Like our setup was like outside of the van.
Right.
Because the van was so small that we just like stored stuff in there.
And did you need permits to do this, or did you just do it and like see what happens?
Yeah, you needed like a food permit that we got, a health permit. But for the specific lot we were on, like it's not commercial, so technically,
you're always hearing things from different people where they're like, there's still people set up in that spot, and they're not in trouble. So it's just, but for us, we did hit that point.
I think it was that
we were like, I don't know if we want to keep doing this.
Also, we started getting like kind of busy with the van, like so there would be like a bunch of cars parked or like a big line, and I think people didn't like that as much sometimes.
Yep.
So then I think that's why it was more of an issue for us because people were wanting to like, they wanted to be like a coffee shop. They wanted to hang out. And it was like causing a little bit more of like a traffic scene, which was good for us. But
some people loved it, and then you have other people that are not. And it's
of course.
For the community. And so it's like if people complaining, and you're like, where can we go?
One person calls and you're moving for the day.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you were looking for space shortly thereafter. I guess I'm a real estate person, so just curious, like what did that search look like for you?
It was hard, yeah.
This is a good story, honestly. But
we searched a lot. Like there was probably like 3 or 4, maybe more spots that were like maybe this one. None of them were like working out. We were just kind of like, I don't even know where we would put a brick and mortar. But since we did pretty well, we were like, we know people want this. Like our customers were looking for us. They're like, we're trying to find a spot for you guys. So like we had some hope, but also we were like, oh, there's kind of nowhere. And I feel like Caleb was definitely like on the verge of like, I'm done with this. And then you can go.
Yeah, I was getting pretty fed up. Mads is a lot more like, it'll work out, it'll be good. I like to have that mindset, but there's a certain point to where I'm just like, Mads, we got to figure something out. And so it had been months of us looking like diligently, like obviously it'd been years for us to like keeping the door open to a brick and mortar, but months of like going directly to community, like the community coming directly at us being like, there's this spot available, this spot available. And whether it was,
and this is just you like talking to people, talking to customers, being like, do you know of anything?
Yeah.
You're not talking to brokers or like, there's hardly any stuff posted online anyway.
We would look at some, but
I had reached out to some, and it's just they were either way too priced, way too high, or it just was not where like the build was going to be too complicated, too expensive, whatever it was.
Or people just wouldn't respond. Just like random.
Because our only model was, we have a van on the side of the street. But I mean, a lot of it was word of mouth too. So like the old Brew and Foam, right? Yeah. Building, that's that salon now.
Yeah.
We were like looking at that, and then ended up being the salon took over because they were next door, and it was just one of those things where you're like, okay, that's not happening. What's the next step? And so the cool part was we were driving by where we're at right now, and it used to be an old auto shop, and it had been abandoned for like I think 7 or 8 years. So there's like trash bags on the windows. There's all these old cars, like rundown cars in the lot. And Mads looked at the shop and pointed it and said, that would be the dream spot. Literally that location. And I looked at her and I was like, yeah, in our dreams, like there's no chance we get that location. Like it's not even for rent. Kind of like brushed it off. This was me starting to get a little bit demotivated in it. And so I was actually looking at like, do we leave Island? Is this like the Island telling us like it's time to go? You spent your time here. Go figure your life out somewhere else. And so we were looking at like, okay, where do we go elsewhere? We're trying to start to get back to that like boots on the ground and maybe that life shift of a different direction. And like a month later, a for rent sign pops up on that garage window. And so Mads was like, look, it's for rent. And I was just like, once again, I'm like, in our dreams, like, I don't even think we should go through that. Like, it seems like wasted effort. And she's like, just call. And so I remember calling them, having a conversation at Kayaka Park, actually. Mm-hmm. And the lady that took over that lease was starting to clean the building up and was just pretty much like, hey, like, this is what we're wanting. She had a vision of bringing a bunch of businesses into that building and kind of doing either like day rate or monthly rate things. And was like, are you interested? Like, what's your business? And so we said coffee, and she's like, "Oh, you're the van that pops to the side." So she knew about our business, and was just kind of like, "Yeah, like there's a few people like in line ahead of you that have called, but I'll let you know." And then like a week later, calls us and pretty much says like, "If you want to take this tiny little corner office spot, I'll give it to you."
So how many square feet was it when we first got it?
And she was like the master tenant.
Yeah. So she was subleasing out to a bunch of
It's funny.
other people.
I called that lady too.
Yeah.
And had the same conversation. And I was like, because I was thinking about opening up a gym or something.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, who would want to rent this place for the day?
Right.
But it sounds like she was able to give you that corner as a.
She was like,
as
one person can stay in there. At first, she was like, you guys can be in there for like a month. We're like, that's not going to work because we're going to have to build it all out. She was like, okay, max a year. And we just were like, okay, like we'll take it. Like we'll risk it. Because I don't know. We were just like, yeah, it's worth it.
131 square feet. So price per square foot was way high.
It was tiny, yeah.
It was, the build out cost was pretty minimal we were able to thrift things. We were able to use the money.
Have friends.
Like it was just very have friends that gifted stuff. Like we were able to find deals. So we knew that we could at least, with the numbers we ran, hopefully break even at 1 year. So like if she kicks us out at 1 year, we broke even, we shift again.
I think the hardest part about underwriting your business is just, how do you know how many people per day are going to come in and buy a cup of coffee? Because like the difference between, I don't know, 8 per hour and 15 per hour is like a massive difference.
Yeah.
100%.
So it's like,
I think we just were like, we hoped.
Yeah.
And I think the van gave us some hope because we like knew a base of our customers.
Right.
And we were like, they're wanting us to have a spot. So we feel like, I think we had a little bit of that, like at least our regulars from the van will come.
Mm-hmm. And we were working in there every day, and it was just one of those things. It was just passion. Like we were just like stoked to be able to have this little home, this little nest, and that's why like it made this. That was the dream, was this nest, this place that just felt like safe, and you're just like, oh, we can make a good cup of coffee, and if people want to join. And like,
in reality, this also wasn't a huge risk. It's like, if you weren't making money, you can always bail.
Yeah.
That's she also said that to us too.
Was super nice. And so the lease terms were favorable and unfavorable at the same time. But yeah, in short, she pretty much
also though,
do you know why she chose you instead of others? Or was
I think one was the van. She knew our business and she had heard good things about it. And then I think it was like more of like her intuition, her gut is kind of what she said. Like she just like felt like she wanted us to be in there. But also right when we got it, Caleb had left for like a month trip. But then we like got it and we were like, okay, well we need to start building it out now so we can start making money because we're paying rent. So me and our other friend Caleb were like there building it out for that month. And I was still doing like my other jobs and stuff, but we also just like, I learned how to do like tile and stuff. Like me and the other Caleb were there like every day, obviously. And she kind of saw that and she was like, I think it was within 2 weeks she came to me and she was like, I wanted to wait till Caleb got here, but there's just like something in me and like I've been like praying about this, and she was like seeing the hard work you guys are putting into this, and I can tell how much you love it. You guys can stay as long as you want. Like you don't have to be out within a year. So pretty quickly,
I think she started at 2 years, but then she was like, she hinted at indefinite. Like,
so it started out a little bit like, oh gosh, and then quickly.
I mean, I would have been having reservations too, because you're working with the master tenant. You're not even working with the owner. So it's like, you don't know like how much control they really have over the situation. Yeah. But it sounds like you were able to inch your way into it without overextending.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, it was some of it maybe wouldn't be the wisest. Like if you're someone who's just like, this is the smartest thing, like if we had that opportunity right now, I don't know if I know for a fact we probably wouldn't do it, because we have something that feels like what we're building. But since there's that dream and you're not really sure, you're at this pivot of a road of like, what direction do we move? We were just like, this is an open door. Like, why not do it and see what happens? And like worst case scenario, we lose some money. and we figure out the next step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, right after you opened, I mean, there was a line out the door pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So was the plan just to run it like that for a year? Or I guess
At first, yeah.
When did we start thinking about the transition to extending the space?
We were like, yeah, we can manage, like we can handle this, like we can make it work. And it started getting like into the parking lot, into like that pole, and we're like, wow, that's like kind of crazy. Like, how are we gonna keep doing this? Like, if we grow at all, like, how is that gonna work? So then we did start thinking about it. Was it like 2 months in?
Yeah. Well, not quite. Maybe a month and a half, 2 months in. We were growing fast, and so we knew that if we wanted to continue to grow and not have it stalled, then we need to figure something out. And that was kind of when the master leaseholder, came to us, and pretty much after 2 months was, instead of it just being like, hey, you can have the space for however long you want or however long the lease is, she was like, do you want the whole building? And it was just like, from within like 2 months of just being like, you have a month, got to get out of here. In a year, it's all of a sudden being like, you want this whole building. Like, that was another point where it's just like, what? Like, here's another open door, but it was a lot of money.
And just to put that in perspective, the first space was what you said, 100 square feet.
31 square feet.
And how big is the whole building?
It's about 2,000 square feet.
Yeah. So 20x.
Yeah, exactly.
And we were like,
not
not
20x revenue. Like, we weren't like, as far as a business model goes, it wasn't like, oh, we can do this.
And we like just started it, so we're like, what? That is like insane. Like,
yeah. So yeah, a lot of talking, a lot of figuring out, and that was where we had brainstormed a lot, and we ended up having to take a risk of signing the lease before we even knew if anyone else was going to join in on the lease, which is a big risk for us, because we could afford, I think, maybe 1 month. 1 month of rent.
But if someone else was like the master leaseholder, they could have told us to leave, like whenever they got it. So then we would have built it out for nothing. So we're kind of like, I guess we just keep saying yes and keep like opening the door.
Walking through the doors open, yeah. And that was where we came in contact with Ben, and reached out to them. And we were just like, hey, we see you have a spot for the kid. You want a location here? And long story short, through a lot of conversations, worked it out, and so that's kind of where we went. There's something I was going to hit on, but I can't remember now. Was the small location, like looking back, I think helped us actually a ton with the line out the door. So that is like some advice, is like starting small and intentional around something can sometimes be like the best beginning asset, because your risks are a bit mitigated, but at the same time, within like a brick and mortar shop like that, if we had this huge space, people wouldn't be driving by. We didn't have a lot of signage. We have no signage. Like, it's just like there's no way of really marketing. Instagram wasn't even like really going at that point. And so people would just drive by and see this line and be like, what's that?
Yep.
So they would be intrigued and just be like, I came in because of this line. And so it's kind of the model we've built, is keeping it small and keeping it intimate. And I think still like 90% of our like marketing efforts comes from word of mouth. And so friend recommendation, word of mouth, is really how people find out about us. And we're like, that to us is the most valuable. Like, we want to keep it at the community, connecting the community.
And it's the cheapest.
Yeah, and it's the cheapest, so it's nice.
So, I mean, basically you were renting out 10% of the building. Then you partnered with the Den, which is a Pilates and yoga studio. You gave them about half?
Yeah, roughly.
But then you also decided to take another several hundred square feet to yourselves to extend your business. I guess, like, what was the thought behind that, other than like, it would be cool to sit down? Like,
yeah, we were mainly
was there some thought that like, could we actually sell more coffee just by having seating? Or
I think we wanted that space for people to like come and connect and like be able to sit and chat and like enjoy being in there, versus just like get in line. You can squeeze over here and get your coffee and like squeeze out.
Yeah.
That was like always what we really wanted. We just like took the small space just to start, but like our goal was always to have a space where people can actually sit and chat and hang out and connect. So we knew that we wanted that eventually. And right before she even gave it to us, we were like, how can we have a conversation with her where she can give us like maybe a little bit of space so we can have like a few chairs.
Yeah, we thought about like sharing.
Because I think part of me would have also been like, well, we're already selling like a lot of coffee and our overhead's super low. Like maybe we just keep it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you made this decision mostly just like this was just the vibe that you wanted to create.
Yeah.
And the revenue will follow or whatever.
Yeah, that's mainly what it was.
And like we had no space to do kitchen stuff, no space we were sharing like one wall of the back storage room with them. So to have the full little storage room, a space that was like their office space, we could eventually put a kitchen in. And so there was a lot of opportunity we saw for growth within revenue of being like, if you can add a kitchen, you can start adding food items, you can start adding.
We make like our house-made milk now, juices, our house-made syrup, stuff like that.
Yeah, so maybe we should talk about that. Like outside of coffee and matcha, maybe talk about the products that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I remember early on when I came in, like Emily and I were laughing because you guys were like bringing in bagels from like another bakery. I remember Kayla was like cutting bagels and like smearing cream cheese and like there was like a line out the door. And I just remember Emily and I were like, dude, he probably hates this.
I was not good at hiding that behind the face. No, I didn't hate it, but I showed stress a lot.
Especially cutting them. It was like...
Well, because like you're trying to chill and make coffee and now you're like smearing bagels.
For sure,
And you're waiting like 5 minutes for them to toast as well.
And then like with the milk and stuff that we started making, it was mainly one, like the health aspect of like a lot of alternative milks have like bad oils, all these additive things in it that we were just like, we just don't really support that. So why are we going to sell it?
Yeah.
So we just wanted to create like an alternative. And I think you honestly came up with that recipe.
Yeah, I did. I can't say I perfected it, but I did push for it. And we still do sell like
a few
regular almond oat milk. That is just more margin friendly for people who don't necessarily have that mindset. But we were like, if we have the mindset where we wouldn't drink this, then we need to have an option for people. And so,
we started making our own nut milk as well, just because I'm like, this is something that I consume every day.
Yeah.
It's like something I should probably pay attention to. We stopped doing it because it would spoil so fast, but I think making it in bulk just makes it more accessible to people. But I totally agree. It's like,
it's kind of crazy.
Oh yeah, it's been a fine tuning with that one. That one's one that I feel like I'm glad we call it rat milk. So it's just a funny thing that it just came about because we started calling everyone rats. We're just like,
it was a random.
You're a rat. And so it's just like all the rats drink the alternative milk. And so, so it just became a thing. We're like, let's just call it rat milk. But to perfect that recipe has been a long process. And so, I mean, we're still obviously fine tuning everything.
And trying to make it like quicker because we're like straining everything by hand and it takes so long. And we're like, okay, this is like, are we even making money on this? Because we're spending so much time making it. But then we got like an almond cow and we're just constantly like trying to like refine and make it better. Making
sure we're bringing value while not losing money. Yeah.
Yep. And then you're also selling cold brew, right?
Yes.
Like bottled.
Yeah.
Another one that's like kind of for the community. It's not necessarily a big money maker, but
also with the van, like that is one thing that was like really big with the van is people were like obsessed with our cold brew. Because we would do like different flavor notes and stuff. Like we would try to do like pretty specialty cold brew. So people would be like this one today is like banana or something. And they'd be like, whoa, that's crazy. So it just became like a bigger thing with the van. And then like when we didn't have a brick and mortar, Caleb was like, maybe that will be a business. So he started working on bottling that.
We forgot about that. Yeah. I was all over the place with what direction after the van, but that was one of them. I shouldn't say all over the place. I just had a lot of options that I didn't necessarily step fully into all of them yet. And cold brew was one of them where we were like, there's not a specialty cold brew scene. Like I don't even see it in the market. So I was like, you go to Whole Foods and there's just all the same cold brew, just different marketing. And so I was like, what if we just marketed one well, but it actually was like truly specialty. And so that was kind of the push for that. And so now it's just kind of turned into just being a house cold brew that we sell only in-house. We did Farm Link for a little bit, but within just all the operations, it didn't make sense.
It's called Birdie Brew.
But yeah, Birdie Brew.
Okay, so right now it's just selling it at the
Bird's Nest.
Okay, cool.
And we'll see if it ever becomes something that is, worth pursuing outside. But for now, we kind of like the idea of just keeping it in-house.
Yeah.
Yeah, Caleb would go drop it off at like everyone's house that ordered. Yeah.
It was a fun little time. Yeah, and honestly, it was just a way of too, like, there's so many regulars that we still have that would buy like once a week from me, and I would just go drop off the house and just be like, hey, how are you? Like, here's your cold brew, and it just was a way of just continually to connect. And
Good way to meet people.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about the coffee. I mean, I remember the first time I went. So I moved here in 2020 or 2021, and I basically didn't go out for coffee for like 3 years because I was like, it's all trash.
Yeah.
And then the first time I went in, I came back and told Emily, I was like, oh, this place is like legit. Like, this guy, Caleb, is like a sommelier for coffee. So would love to know more, just like, how did you, I mean, obviously it's like out of self-interest, but how did you learn so much about coffee? And then just curious, like, where are you sourcing your products from? Would love to know more about that.
Yeah, I feel like it's a combination. Like, obviously Caleb started loving coffee and experimenting more with like the pour over side of it and stuff like that. And then combination of me like working in coffee as like barista and more espresso and like latte art side of it. So it was cool to have like both of those sides and like combine them. We also, like with the van, we just tried a bunch of espresso that we just got companies to like send it to us so we could try it, which one we wanted. And then Caleb knew of Sweet Bloom from college.
Mm-hmm. It was one of the, like, Middle State was the first coffee I'll never forget, but Sweet Bloom was, I want to say, second. But within the first few that I had tried that were like more specialty, like just intentional. There was notes in the bag. It wasn't just like light roast, medium roast, dark roast type of thing.
So we both were like agreed, like, this is the one that we love. This is the one that we want for espresso. And just like really dialing that in. And we found that it's like more medium light. So a lot of people here have like darker coffee, like darker roast. It's more of like that. To us, it's like a little bit burnt and we don't really enjoy that. So we're like, we want to bring something different here, where you can actually like taste the notes and taste the coffee. So that was like the idea behind bringing them in. And then I feel like I learned a lot more of like the notes through Caleb. And then, but then I also taught him like the espresso side of like dialing it in and all the fun things like that. So now we have like a specialty espresso as well. So when you come in, you can either get our traditional house espresso, which is going to be that Sweet Bloom, or it's Ethiopia and Colombia blend, or you can try our specialty, which rotates every like week or 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And that one's going to be like a little bit more expensive, a little bit more specialty, just like single origin. We rotate through different roasters. And that has been really fun for customers because they get to like experiment with different coffees, and we like to tell them tasting notes, see if they taste it. It's really fun to make like different lattes, like combine different flavors with it, things like that. Yeah.
Quick pause. I'm going to turn the fan on because it's getting hot. I'm going to start sweating soon.
And then matcha as well, I guess. Do you want to do more coffee?
Well, before matcha, you mentioned Sweet Bloom, so that's like your primary partner. I don't know what you call it. Yeah. What's their story? I guess, do you have like a relationship with them?
Yeah. So that was, as mentioned before, it was one of the first few roasters I tried. So when we were kind of reaching out to roasters who I had just tried over that past, I think at that point it had been like 8 years, I was just like, in my head, like, okay, I think like there's a company called like, I know Middle State, Sweet Bloom, Cat Cloud, like Little Wolf, like there's just all these names, Proud Mary, that were like all in my head. So I was just like, I'm just gonna start reaching out to all of them, look on their Instagrams, I'll find like other roasters through there, and there's just always like connections. And Sweet Bloom was one that was just, I had remembered, like it was just stored in my memory bank as one of the better coffees I've had. And so when I reached out to them, I was like, hey, we're starting a coffee van, and I tried your coffee, I think 8 years ago. I would love if we could have you guys be like a house espresso. Potentially, like we're trying a few different roasters. Can you send some samples? So they were just like amazing, from the start. Like the first email back, it felt like a family connection. So even before we tried them, I was like, the way they approached even just like a response email felt so warm and welcoming, and exactly who we wanted to embody to the customer. And so we ended up trying it, dialed it into kind of how we like it, which is honestly different than a lot of people. Like we pull a lot more like long black, kind of, it's a bit longer than the traditional 1-to-2 ratio. And we found that with the Sweet Bloom, it really brings out a very like light, more delicate, but it still has that more medium kind of grounded feel where if you mix it with milk, it still has enough to kind of push through and cut through the milk. And so once we tried it, we're like, I think this is the one. We're going to move forward. And then from then on out, they've been nothing but family. So, yeah, cool. They've been amazing.
Can we talk about Hawaiian coffee real quick? Because when I moved out here, I was like, I thought I was going to love it, but I haven't found anything I like so far. I guess just like,
we don't want to make anyone mad here.
Yeah.
Because Hawaiian coffee, it's like coffee. The world of coffee is such a preference.
Yeah.
You know, there's no right or wrong. It's not like people are you know, less qualified or more qualified. Like, it's just preference. And so typically Hawaii coffee is lower elevations, which tend to make things not as complex. A lot of times, like Brazil is similar. You get more earthy, chocolatey notes. So typically around those, like maybe some spices in there. If you under roast or you do a light roast, it kind of tastes weird. So a lot of times, in order to have it taste kind of that full body they want, they have to go a bit darker on the roast. And I'm not by any means like a roasting professional, and so there's probably lots of people out there that would either maybe say they differ from that or like disagree. But same thing, we've tried a good amount of Hawaiian coffees and a lot of Kona coffee. And Kona coffee is great. It's just for the price. There's not as much, there's a lot of demand for it, not as much quantity and supply. And so it drives the price up. And for the quality that it is to us, it's not really what we want to be serving. Mm-hmm. There is a farm on Big Island that we're trying to talk to, that we have tried a coffee that we really did enjoy. Uh-huh. We haven't made the full connection yet to be able to actually serve it. I think they're pretty niche. They don't necessarily just open their wholesale accounts to anyone. And so it's always just working through that of finding farms, finding roasters, and creating a connection with them and for them bringing it to the shop. And so we hope to eventually, I think the scene's building in Hawaii, but yeah. It is, since it's lower elevation, it's not going to be like one of those that, you know, it's grown in, 9,000 foot.
Right.
And also you get like one note mainly. It's like chocolatey dark, which is just like not our preference.
Yep.
So we do get a lot of like people coming in like, do you have Hawaiian coffee? And it's always like, no, like, sorry, like this is our coffee and this is why we really like it. But some people just want Hawaiian coffee. And,
understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do see a future where we sell Hawaiian coffee. I think it is expanding and there's possibilities, and a lot of it has to do with whether it's co-ferments or whether it's new processes within like how coffee's fermented, longer fermentation periods, thermal shocks, different like temperature things where they store them and ferment them in different containers. I feel like as that kind of world expands, there's probably some really good Hawaiian coffee out there.
There's hope.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the matcha?
Yes. Matcha has become huge, obviously. And we had it since the van as well, but we became like pretty popular with our matcha. Like we make a good amount of matcha, and same with everything. Same with everything else. Like we source, we wanted it to be like really high quality. We wanted to be like proud of serving it. We didn't want to just get like a bulk Costco matcha.
Yep.
So right now we get it from the Daily Whisk in town. It's from Uji, Japan, which is like one of the biggest places to get matcha. But yeah, we do the full weighing it out with the water, whisking it. A lot of people are like amazed by that sometimes. Like, you guys actually whisk it? Like, but we wanted to really like obviously be good at matcha and coffee, not just like one thing. We wanted to anything we bring in, we want it to have like a high quality and like be proud of serving it.
Go through our standards.
And
I think the
love
customers, they know you guys take it serious.
Yeah.
So I think it's appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and something that we're starting to work on is actually we've got one connection with a Japanese farm. It's really hard right now because matcha's boomed, and so many of the bigger farms are not taking new wholesale clients. But we got into one little smaller farm where I think we're going to start, fingers crossed, depending on the samples and if we like them, offering a specialty matcha as well. So similar to the coffee, we have like a house coffee, it's more grounded. We have a specialty rotating coffee. We want to offer a specialty matcha that is, like high ceremonial grade, organic, whatever it is from this different region. And so it's kind of similar to the coffee world, like where that farm's grown, the soil it's in, the way they pick the leaves and dry it out, like that whole process determines so much of the taste. And so I'm excited to go through that process of kind of tasting it.
So getting like how many samples?
We're getting 10 samples of matcha, a couple of hojicha samples.
Yeah.
We have this new, I forget what it's called. It's like Gyna matcha or Gyna matcha. It's I'm totally gonna botch that. So don't take my word on it. But it's pretty much they put like rice and green tea together, and it's a thing in Japan. And so we're trying a bunch of different kind of tea options, but 10 different matcha ones to go through and see if we taste the difference. There's ones that are more umami, ones that are more earthy, ones that are more floral and sweet. And so just kind of see like what our favorites are.
We also went to Japan like last winter and I got to experience the full matcha scene.
I was going to say, it seems worthwhile to expense a couple trips to Japan and or other
we had some great coffee too in Japan.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you get a lot of inspirations when you visit different cultures and how they do. For Japan, like matcha is their thing, but even just the coffee scene in Japan, it's like just seeing how different cultures do coffee. You're like, oh, that makes sense. Like that, let's bring that back. And implement that into our business.
What country do you think has like a very, very good coffee scene that people might not know about?
Oh.
What do you think?
That people might not know about? I don't really.
Sweden had
or maybe that is obvious to you guys.
Yeah, we really liked Sweden.
Sweden, okay. See that? I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah, it feels like I've never been to Copenhagen, but maybe it's like a little bit of like mix with that because I know they have like a pretty good scene. But
there's one roaster drop roaster in Sweden that we were just like,
we loved it.
They're doing it right. And then we actually buy from Amsterdam. DAC Coffee Roasters is one of our specialty rotating.
They're amazing.
They're one of our all-time favorites. They're definitely getting more popular too now. So a lot of Europe still on that old school
Italy.
dark espresso kind of Italian style. So more like Italy, France. I feel like they're not as specialty, but more maybe in those northern countries. It seems like Denmark, Sweden.
Places where they don't grow coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, it's counterintuitive. I was just in Brazil and I was expecting to love the coffee, but I didn't personally like it that much. But
a lot of times where they grow on the farms is not where you're going to get the best cup.
Right.
Because it's rare to find someone grow, roast, and retail at the highest quality.
Is that because like the beans are only one part of the equation?
Yeah.
Of making a good cup?
I mean, not just the beans, but even just the process from the soil that the beans are grown in to the way the beans are picked to where they are. Climate, elevation, everything, shade grown, not pesticides, not like whatever that is, to then how they're dried out. Do they dry them with the cherry? Do they not? To then how they're roasted, to then how they're delivered, to then how it's made and processed, how it's presented to the customer. There's so many different aspects that each person kind of within that cycle, if you will, has to perfect it, I think, in order to. So that's a big reason we haven't started roasting yet. Is we're like, we would not do that near as well as some of these roasters out there. So,
is it cost effective to roast your own beans, or is it more just like it is?
Yeah. It definitely would save money in the long run. I mean, maybe not the first year and a half. It's expensive
to pay for the equipment.
Yeah. But in the space to be able to fit everything, you got to build a team out.
Right.
To package everything and actually roast. But once you actually got rolling. Definitely.
All right, I have a question from Emily, my wife.
Oh.
We run our business together, our real estate business. She wants to know, what's it like working with your significant other?
Great question.
It's funny that you said that, because we were talking about it last night, about the challenges of owning a business, and there was like one of them kind of came up, just like it is a challenge owning a business with your partner. I don't know if you want to get into any of that.
You go first. We'll see what he says.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about boundaries with everything, and for Mads, she's amazing at creating those boundaries. Sometimes too much, to where she's like, no, we're not in work mode, let's not talk about work. And then sometimes I get super excited about something, and so I'm just like, but I have to tell you about this new coffee, or I have to or this new idea, like, but what if we did this? And sometimes I just won't even process, like, oh, she's not in the space to hear this. And so I need to, like, what I've learned is just like, if I have this really big idea and she's tanning on the beach reading a book, like, it's not the time to bring up business. And so I'm just going to write it in my notes on my phone, and then we have set business meetings to where we actually go through everything, and we treat each other as, here's our business personalities, where we talk about business, the growth of the business, our dreams and goals of the business, and then here's our personal life. And this is what we want personally for each ourselves individually and as a couple, and where we want to move forward. And that has been extremely helpful, like, since actually setting those boundaries, and just making sure, like, you know, if you're stressed, like, understanding that, like, oh, Matt is stressed right now, like, or I'm stressed right now, sorry that, like, this came out this way, you know, like, you're gonna have these moments of tension, and it's just about communicating and talking through why you're feeling a certain way. And if you are, then, you know, like, maybe we take a breather from this and not have to talk about this right now. So
yeah, I think like, knowing your differences and, like, playing into that is really big. Like, we now know what we're good at and what we're not good at, and we don't, like, expect the other person to be good at what we're good at. And I think that is a big thing too. Like, he's way more, like, business brain, finances, like, all those little details, and I'm more like let me make this space pretty and, like, enjoyable. And I would say behind the bar, I'm, like, a lot more chill sometimes, and, like, we just, like, know our strengths, and it's great because we have different strengths, so then that, like, helps our business at the end. But also, yeah, separating sometimes, like, relationship and business is so important, because it's really easy to, like, just blur it all together. And I think at the beginning we didn't realize that, like, we didn't know what it would be like. So we were working in there, like, 24/7 together, like, so many hours. We were just, like, together all the time, and mostly business wise. So we really, like, had to learn all of that, and we're still learning it. But I think knowing your differences and, like, having boundaries around work and personal life is really, really important.
Yeah, I mean, it goes even just for, like, bringing people on the team. Like, we were doing everything at first, and so knowing, like, there's weaknesses I have that I was still having to do, that bring a lot of stress or expectations from one side or the other, and instead knowing, like she said, like, if we're bringing in somebody else, like, what are they good at, and like, where do they fit within this role, and making sure, like, that every single person that is doing what is making the collective is doing actually what they're passionate about, and the fit, the role that they're supposed to be in. And so since we kind of have started figuring that out, just being like, oh, this is where you fit really well, let's put your focus there. This is where I fit really well, let's put my focus here, and just build out that kind of team and that mindset. That's where you kind of, I think, really create something of value at the same time.
It reminds me of us, because it's like, when we first started out running our real estate investing business together, we would just kind of do everything. It'd be pretty fluid. And then we brought on our first employee, and she was like, we needed to onboard her. So we literally needed to, like, map out, this is what I do, and this is what Emily does, and this is what you go do for me, and this is what you go do for her. And I think when you onboard employees, it makes you, like, map those things out more clearly, and it actually helps yourself as well.
And then you realize, oh wait, they're actually really good at this. That's what they should be doing, and I should not be doing that. And even, like, leaving, like, going, when we, like, left for our first time away from the bird's nest, that also showed us a ton of, like, what we're doing that we need to show our employees how to do, that we were just, like, handling ourselves, that we didn't even realize, like, those things existed until we, like, had to step out of it, and then we had to, like, train them on all of those things. And I feel like we're always like we still have that every single time of like there's more added on.
Business is just constantly fixing holes, like leaks and everything, and just understanding, oh, like that's a problem that needs to be solved. And if you're a person that gets stressed at solving problems, business is probably not for you. And so, or if it is, then understand how to handle that stress and take that energy and put it into actually fixing the problems. But yeah, and leaving showed us a lot of, okay, we're micromanaging here. We're not allowing enough creativity in this. Once we did, this bloomed, or this is something we didn't talk about at all. And so I would definitely recommend, once you get the basics down, like, of understanding, like you're saying, like, here's how we onboard, here's how all of our systems and our operations work, here's what we expect and present, here's our mission and vision, and what we expect you guys to carry on. You step away from that, and then all of a sudden you just see all these holes. Like you're just like, it's like dumping like a water into a hose, a bunch of holes, and you're like, all right, let's patch all those up. So.
Yeah, it's fun. I have one more question, and then I have a couple like closing questions that I ask everyone. Would love to know like what's next for the business, anything on the horizon, whether that's products or services or expansion or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a big one that we want to do, like we feel like we just got kind of like established in this space, and now we're really like looking forward to doing like more events and just bringing more people in, bringing more community, like a community space. We've done a few events this past year, and they've been like really fun and successful. And that was like another point of like, okay, how can we like step back a little bit so then we have time to like plan events and like really make that a priority. So that's one big thing.
What is like an example of an event that you have hosted or you would host?
We got one in 2 days. So.
Yeah, we have a coffee tasting on Wednesday that we've been like really wanting to do for a long time. And so that's really exciting. We have one of our employees who is like a coffee nerd legend. Like he competes in a ton of barista competitions. He's just like amazing. And so he's going to walk through whoever's there how to taste these different coffees. We're going to have a really expensive bag of coffee there that you guys are going to get to taste. And that's one of the things that we love, is just like teaching people about coffee and like showing them how to taste different notes. So being able to like show that to the community is super exciting. And then another one of our events, like our 1 year party, was super fun. We had dips and drips there with ice bath. We had like raffle tickets. We had fun like espresso martinis. We had a live band that was one of our friends, and it was just, we had a really great turnout, and it was just really fun to have everyone in a different kind of scene, like not just like getting your morning coffee, but like actually having like a party together and experiencing like a afternoon setting where you're just having fun mainly. Was really fun for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like in this area, it's events is a big thing, and we even put like something just recently on our website to be able to click in to hit a form that like fills out things, just because we have a lot of people asking. So we want to be able to like have the community either rent the space just for whatever they want to use the whole space for, or if it's like pop-up form, like those little pop-ups like dips and drips, as you're saying, to where we can just integrate the community into an event that where we can connect.
Yeah.
We also want to, you're saying?
No, good.
I say we just also want to like find different ways of giving back, and that's like the hardest part, especially when you're starting out and you're not profitable. You're like, how can we give back when we're not actually making money yet? Like, and on the bottom line. And so we've been trying to find unique ways of supporting other businesses, of throwing these events, of creating a loyalty program where we can give free drinks for people coming in. And so that's kind of all been part of it. And as we start to actually become profitable, we're really like having meetings on sitting down and being like, cool, where do we want to give back? And like, what is like our focus of where like any extra money goes into, and we're like, we need to figure out something within like a form of giving back to the community that the coffee shop is in.
Yeah.
And so like it's not like as much as we want to, send money to Africa to help kids that need water, like all of these things that are really grand. It's like, we're a small coffee shop. We're not going to probably make as much of a difference over there. I think a lot of the difference we can make is in this own community and area. And so we're always kind of now at this point of asking people. Like,
well, a really nice space is extremely valuable to the community. So, I mean, that makes sense. It's like a place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could go on for a lot longer, but we'll get into closing questions. Any overarching advice to other business owners or like aspiring entrepreneurs? It could be in general or like North Shore, Hawaii specific.
I would say my advice is just keeping that mentality that we had in the beginning of, like, why not? Like, oh, that space is not available right now, but let me just put it out there. Of like, that would be an awesome space. And then if it does come up, then like take the opportunity, even if you think it might not be in your reach. It never hurts to just like ask or try and be optimistic, even if sometimes you're like, wow, are we going to be able to do this? It's just having like faith that you can. And I think that's a big reason why like we kept going. It's just like, let's just try. Let's just keep saying yes. Let's just like give it our all, because we had like that dream. And I think it can be hard to like keep that mentality, but it helped us in the long run of just trying to like stay positive and be like, it will work out. Like, let us just try and just keep trying to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, staying positive is for sure like extremely powerful. And just, especially if you have like a space where a lot of people are moving in and out of, is creating a space that has that positive energy is game changing. But I feel like the advice that I always will just like tell people immediately is start small and intentional, and understand what gap you're filling. And so like, if you can't be your own customer, it's probably not a good idea, at least not for you to start. Like, maybe that exists somewhere, but it doesn't mean you don't have the passion for it, or you don't necessarily know how to bridge that gap between product to customer. And so, for us, it was exactly that. Like, the doors open, we knew that customers wanted good coffee. We knew that customers wanted a place to connect. And we understood that, like, that was a gap that needed to be filled. And if you put time and effort and you risk and you keep moving forward in whatever your idea is, then if it's meant to be and there's value in it, then it'll find its place. And so it's kind of just always like, if it doesn't find its place, it's not meant to be, and move on to the next thing. Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Well, thank you. This is great. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, this is great.
It was fun. Our first Bird's Nest podcast.
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah, good job. And yes, I'm always open to ideas.
Nice.